Matt Davis is one of my best friends in the world, and he spots for us when I do games. I've talked to you guys about that. Matt's been on the show. So Matt arrives in West Virginia on Saturday, afternoon, and we're talking about the special relationships we have with coaches. And we were talking about one of our favorite coaches of all time, Jeff Hanson, defensive back coach at the University of Richmond. Just a great guy. I was in a personal jam when I was a senior in college. And I didn't go to the head coach. I didn't go to my position coach, Joe Cohen. I went to Jeff Hanson and asked him what I should do with tears in my eyes. And he gave me the advice. He's like, yeah, you need to go. You need to handle that. You need to go. It was like, all right. And I knew what to do. But so that's the kind of guy he was. He was like a dad away from home. He just really was. And I think one of the reasons he was is because when you arrive at Richmond and you started to play or be a part of the team, he was one of those guys. He was the hardest guy to crack. He was the hardest guy to get on your side. He would always just be breaking your balls. And you're about to hear, I could do his impression, but he'd be like, Peter, would you sleep in that shirt? You look terrible. And that would be it. It would be, as a freshman, you'd be like, wow, this guy does not like me. He does not like us. So then as you evolve a little bit and you're a sophomore and a junior, and he starts to tell you hey, you going out too much? You drinking too much? You got to knock that shit off. You're going to get yourself in trouble. You're going to become a loser. And you're like, okay, I'm really vibing with this guy. And I'll tell you one more story before we play this voicemail, because I want to make it very clear how special of a guy this is. When he was part of the JMU staff right before Curt Cignetti got there, but they were playing in the 1AA tournament, right? The FCS playoffs. And Roy Philpott, who I was spotting for, had a game, and we went to. It was in at James Madison. Where the hell is that place? It's in Harrisonburg, Virginia. So I know Coach Hanson's a coach, and his team is at the hotel there because, teams stay at a hotel the night before a game, even if they're home, to get rid of distractions. And I see Coach Hanson, and he's like, Peter, what the hell are you doing here? And I'm like, Coach, man, I'm doing good. I'm like, I'm sober. And he's like, you should be. You should be. You were crazy. I'm like, yeah, everything's going good. And he's like, how's McShay? You talk to him? He's not calling anybody back, is he? He doesn't call people back. It's bullshit. And I'm like, we have this conversation, and I'm walking away, and he's got a million things going on because he's got a playoff game. He's got a coach. I'm walking away, and he goes, Peter, I love you. I love you. So that's a little context, right? And he's a badass coach. Coached at UVA for a long time, obviously coached at Richmond, coached at James Madison, and now he's later in life. And Davis and I were talking we got to call these guys more often, especially Hanson. He meant so much to us. So we called him and we left a message. And during the message, I was like, yo, Coach, what the F is going on? You know what I mean? You MF-er. Let's do it old school football talk. So he calls Dave. So we left a voicemail. He calls Davis back, and Scotty was nice enough. So here's the message. And if you're offended by this, you really don't get the show. This is a big brother, father relationship that I had with Jeff Hanson. And this is the kind of language that we use and communicate with. But I can tell you it is so special. And when I heard this, my heart was so full, although you might think it should be the opposite. All right, go ahead, Scotty.
Nice message. Tell Sousa that, I'll tell you what, I'm going to put him in a headlock and squeeze him so he can't breathe. That wouldn't take much. Yeah, give me a call. Tell him I really appreciate him talking about me on all his podcasts. All he talks about is Frank Leonard, Joe Cullen. All right, see you later.
Frank Leonard was the running backs coach. Joe Cullen, defensive line coach. Cullen's now Chris Jones, defensive line coach in Kansas City. But dude, what a great so here I am. You get your wish, Coach. I'm talking about you. one of the biggest badasses I've ever been around. A guy who, once you earned his respect, you felt like you belonged. And a guy who I know I could call right now and would help me move a body, right? You just heard him. he would do it, okay? I love Coach Hanson. And, he just retired probably about, I think 2022, he officially retired. He was one of those guys who just couldn't stop coaching. But yeah, a guy like that has had a positive impact on so many lives. And he's a guy that, I'm sure you may have never heard of, but that is like the relationships and how special college football is. And just what we build as a team. All right, we're going to step aside. We're going to come back with Steve Lyons, the great Steve Lyons. We're talking about the World Series, which, by the way, is tied at 2 games apiece after an amazing 18-inning game and a Freddie Freeman walk-off. And then, of course, last night, Toronto takes care of business. We're tied at 2. And better news than that, we got Steve Lyons coming. We'll step aside, be right back. Pete Souza Show is presented by Savage.